presentation today is on the creative brief. The creative brief is something that we as marketers put together for our marketing teams, whether they're internal or external, to create large projects or small projects. They can be used for branding, they can be used for campaigns, they can be used for something as simple as a sell sheet. The creative brief's purpose is to position the messaging for companies. It is important when creating this brief to have all the stakeholders in the room. This allows everybody to be on the same page and working towards the same goal. The creative brief identifies the goals and your key audiences that you're trying to reach. Could be customers' behaviors and perceptions, as well as what's going on with the competition. The most important part for me of a creative brief is the development of the value proposition. Gone are the days of features and benefits. Customers want to know what the value is for them. So part of this creative brief is something called a group description. That's an overall project goal. And as I said, it could be something as small as a sell sheet or something as large as a campaign or even a new branding initiative. The second part of this creative brief is development of the mission or vision of the company, the division, or it could be the whole company or the business unit or the division. It's important that everybody's on the same page with this because oftentimes you'll have people coming from different parts of the company with very different aspects and perceptions of what the vision is. This enables you to get everybody in the same room or on the same page so that you're all moving together as one company. The next part is who's your target audience. Really important because marketing is based on target audiences, and especially now as we move towards social media marketing. It's imperative that you know who you're speaking to. If it's a specific industry, if it's a specific application or a specific market segment or role. It's very important to know who you're speaking to, and that's who you're addressing when you develop your collateral. You want to understand the customer's beliefs and their practices, their perceptions, both positive and negative, as well as their buying factors. What are they thinking about before they purchase your service or your product? The next section is to discuss the products and services for your target audience. So we've defined who our audience is. We want to know how we're speaking to them, but we want to develop what products are we selling to what audience and what services are we selling to what audience. It's very market segment specific. And the next piece is the competitive environment. Oftentimes companies don't do SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It should be done by product and by company. You need to know what your competition is doing, who your competition is, and that will help you determine how they're marketing and what their goals are and how well they're doing in your market segment. Having that SWOT analysis enables you to understand how the market is perceiving products. We as consumers, whether we're buying B2B or B2C, we buy based on perception. So it's really important to understand what's going on in your market segment. It also enables you to understand if you bring sales in as part of your key stakeholder, it also gives you the opportunity to understand what they're facing in the market space as you address how you're going to develop your marketing communications plan. As you're going through your process, we have to figure out how we're going to message to the customer. What are the top benefits of this offering to a customer, whether it's a service or a product? And you got to think in terms of bites, so faster, better, easier. And you want to try to develop what this messaging is based on what separates your product or service from your competition and the market as a whole, and how what you're providing enables your customer to do what they need to do better. You need to, as part of the messaging, include key points and supportable claims. You just can't say, I'm faster and expect everybody to believe it because everybody says that. So you need to have your support underneath that says this is why we're faster, whether it's how long it takes to do a test or how long it takes to, what the cost of a reagent is to develop the final test, what the cost per test and the total cost of ownership is. It would be great as you're developing your bits for your collateral pieces to provide testimonials, studies, results, any kind of research that will support your marketing claims. That in of itself will separate you from competition that just says, oh, we're faster. We need to tell them why we're faster, what makes us better, what makes this particular product or service easier to use. And for me, as I said earlier, this is my most important piece, and that's the value proposition. Oftentimes, it gets mistaken for a feature and benefit. And the truth is, we used to market by features and benefits, but people have short attention spans. We need to tell them what's in it for me, and we need to tell them quickly on the very onset of whatever piece of collateral or whatever marketing item you're developing or campaign. It's important that the customer understand what the value is to them. Not that, it has 95 tests in this, in a kit as opposed to 50 tests in a kit. It's what is that value to me? How do we derive to the value proposition? And oftentimes it is the hardest piece to tease out because it's easy for us to talk about features and benefits, but we really have to look at it from the customer's point of view. And as we as consumers want to know what the value is for us. Features and benefits are fine, but we want to know at the end of the day what the value is. And oftentimes I tell clients as they work through this creative brief to make sure on the front end they deliver that value proposition of why it's important. And then reinforce it with your marketing claims. That's why it's so important as you work through this creative brief to really fill out all the segments of it, because you're going to use all of that in your marketing campaign or your collateral piece. You're going to use those support documents to say, whatever your value proposition is, this is my supporting evidence. It's key. It's not that customers just want to hear what the value is. They want you to support what you say, but they want to know early on, why am I even considering you for a product or service? What is it about you and your company and your product and service that's going to really solve a problem that I have? Oftentimes, this is left off. What is the call to action? We want the customer to do something. What is that we want them to do? Do we want them to visit a landing page? Do we want them to make a phone call? Do we want them to email or download something? We want to tell them what the next step is. We've delivered this value proposition. We've added in our supporting materials to support and sustain our value proposition. We're all on board with our key messaging. Now what? What does the customer do? And oftentimes I explain to clients as they're working through this creative brief that they really want to make sure that they've sustained all the way through their documentation to support the call to action. You can't ask them to call you if you haven't supported why they should even consider you. So the goal is you're really doing this as one complete package to them. You're delivering everything to them in a package form so they understand why I'm driving to this call to action, what I'm expected to do. Go to a website, go to a landing page. If you're going to take them to a website, I truly suggest developing a landing page that supports your campaign or collateral, because this way they understand why they're there and you don't lose them by dropping them into a product page and they don't understand how they got there. Company expectations. It's really important as you're developing your collateral on your campaign, again, to make sure everybody is on the same page. What is the goal of this campaign or this collateral piece? What's the timeline? If we're developing a new product launch, when does everything have to be completed? Backtrack out where you need to be so that if you want to deliver a new product in 6 months, then 4 months away from that date, so 2 months into the project, you're deciding, okay, we have to start getting our messaging strategy together. That's when you want to start working on the creative brief. This way, everybody's moving in the same direction. By developing the company expectations, the timelines, the goal, and even the budget can be put in here, it will enable you to figure out what tools for marketing that you're going to use to get to your end goal. So when we talk about marketing communication tools, there's a host that we can choose from. From the branding side, there's certainly logo designs and taglines, and from product names. Oftentimes companies use creative briefs to help them develop that product name for the next step, whether it's websites, large projects or small projects or ads or banner ads. All of this helps you get to that developing the correct collateral and campaign to deliver the end goal. It also, by including the budget, gets you a sense of what can I really include in this product launch or campaign or brand strategy. The next piece is to figure out what your dates are. When do we want this to go on? If we're going to do a campaign and it's got an expiration date, so we're going to do a campaign that's 6 months out, we want to put all that in there. We want to put other key dates if we're going to do some special headlining, some special messaging through electronic media. We want to also develop what we're going to track our return on investment. How are we going to track it? What mechanisms are we going to use? What are we going to consider to be a successful campaign? Because oftentimes in marketing, we have to deliver the ROI. We have to be able to go back to management and say, this is what we planned on doing, and this is how we want to get there. So and this is what our expected outcomes are. It also, by establishing the tracking mechanism, it also helps you through the campaign, whether it's a short-term expiration day campaign or an ongoing campaign, to switch tactics. Maybe the print ad campaign isn't working, but the electronic digital ad campaign is. Perhaps social media is working better than the print ad. It enables you to move your resource dollars to keep moving forward on your campaign to deliver the return on investment when management looks back and say, we spent X amount of dollars on this project or campaign, or even if it's just a sell sheet. Where did we get and how did we track it? The next piece is to understand the tactics. What tactics are we going to tie to this initiative? And that's part of choosing out of those MarCom tools. You want to understand why you're choosing those tactics and what your expectations are. You also want to attach budget here because, as I said, you have an overall budget for a campaign or a project, but you have to understand if you're doing a campaign and it's got multiple elements to it, you want to understand where you are in your budget as you're tracking the you're tracking the ROI. Are we getting enough clicks on a banner ad? Are we getting enough hits, whether it's a social media campaign? We also want to understand, are we going to restrict this by channel or geography? We often have products that suit multiple needs, multiple industrial needs or multiple market segments. We have to understand what we're going to spend our time on from a channel point of view. Are we going to do all of our channels at one time? Are we going to focus on one channel? Are we going to do this by geography? Are we just going to do North America? Are we just going to do Europe? Or are we going to do ROW? Whichever it is, we have to make sure we're clear on that. By creating this document, what you're in effect doing is enabling you as a company to show, and your marketing department to show, how I'm getting there, what's important. We're all on the same page with messaging. So this way, no one can come back and say, well, you didn't include me in that process, and I don't understand why the campaign looks the way it is. It's important that everybody's on the same page and moving together as a team, whether your MarCom team alone is sufficient or whether you want to bring other stakeholders like a CSO or maybe your VP of sales. You just want everybody moving on the same page because you may need to leverage your CSO for some of the campaign elements. You may need to leverage your sales team when you're doing a road show and you want them to help make sure you get customers to that road show. So it's important that you're all moving in the same way and that you've identified your channels and what geography. And geography is important also if you're doing Google ad campaigns. For some of us, we might want to restrict our geography to the Northeast to do a trial run. Or maybe we want to just do North America or the Mid-Atlantic states. It enables us to double-check, is our campaign strategy working? Is our messaging strategy working before we blow the entire budget on this campaign or MarCom tool? I hope that's helpful, and I thank you for your time. I can be reached, as you can see, I have my email address here as well as my phone number. I'd be happy to help any of you with any products or projects or consulting you need to move forward on this.